welcome to the channel. It's all about blues harmonica, so thumbs up and subscribe. Little idea today, just playing over two chords. Now it's kind of just a very simple thing. You put it on your guitar, just playing from a minor chord to a ninth chord. Just tink it on your guitar. You can set up your own. I'll just use this. I'll use an idea here. Okay, you just hear that track just going over two chords. So it's pretty simplistic. The problem is, as a blues harmonica player, is you will run short of ideas. If I was a jazz saxophonist, there's a lot I can do with that idea. And then you probably want more of a jazz bass player, and certainly to do more with the chord extensions to give you some flavour of what you want to do. With blues, you'd be struggling, and what you don't want to do is you don't want to start getting into playing patterned lines for the sake of it, which you hear it. I keep on mentioning this. You see guys that they sort of go that way. Now, as a jazz saxophonist, as a blues harmonica player, I do not move one into the other. I don't play jazz on this, and the guys that do play jazz, you don't hear them playing jazz the way I hear it. I mean, for example, you know, John Coltrane style saxophone players, they usually, if I was playing with them as a saxophone player and playing alongside them, they'd usually sit down at the piano and just want the piano player to play certain voicings so that it accommodates the substitutions they're going to play. And I would play my way straight ahead, more of that Turrentine, Stan Getz, Zoot Sims, all those sort of guys. I'd play straight ahead down the line. These guys would play a different way. There's different complexities. Now, you don't need to know any of that on the blues harmonica, but what I'm saying is, when you've got something that's going you know, just go ba da da dee da. I'm just playing it in a second position. I'm just going from the second position of the C harp there, from G to C. Usually in blues, what you'd have is a real groove figure coming off the bass or the main frame instruments that you can use to latch onto to get into that. You know, sort of the Chicago blues way, the way that I favour playing. But when you've just got something that's lulling from one thing to another, it's not funk, it's not blues, it's not groove, it's not straight edge Chicago. There's not that kick off the bass or the main instruments. You've got to come up with something else. Now, what I would probably suggest as a blues player is going from just pick up a little phrase and then stay with that phrase, but then try and aim for some form of melodic line. It's a lot easier than doing jazz, because you're just going to sit in that mode. Well, that's not really a mode. I don't really like people that play in modes either. It's just my way of seeing it. I don't see that as, but to stay in that kind of tonality and then try and bring something to it, and that's where the rhythmic ideas will come to mind, the rhythmic structure that I coach for rhythm and blues. And I often use these like two chord things with no idea there. There's nothing else around you to gauge, and I don't want you to play off what you already know really. You'll use certain line, but don't resort. It's very easy to go down I'll spend all day long just playing pentatonical patterns, and occasionally I'll drop a chromatical line through it or something. And once you learn to play chromatical lines on these things, people think that, oh, that's some form of sort of jazz on this in that kind of world. It isn't at all, and in my view, it doesn't really work. It doesn't work at all. People get bamboozled with it and saying, oh, look at him, he can play all these notes on this, so therefore that is good. Well, really it isn't. And I think on the net, I've only come across maybe 2 or 3 people who I've rated as being able to play good jazz on this. Probably only 1 actually. No, maybe 2. I've not heard anybody else. Chromatical harmonica, yes, the chromatics, but not on this. And I think, for me, it's a fantastical blues instrument. It is there for the jazzers, but they don't. Somehow the ones that seem to come to it certainly don't come from a traditional jazz, modern jazz starting point. Probably because of the complexities of the instrument. Anyway, the point is, what you should do is you're getting something like this. So create yourself a figure. Or a little thing, you know. You best getting yourself something, a tag, say. Just put something together, something very simple, like. You can see how I just started there, starting to get something that then I can work from. And then I can start working out from it, okay? Now that might sounds something what you're trying to do is you're trying to free the mind and not make it static. And the trick is that you're sometimes best if you can get with another guy that plays this or plays another instrument who hears you a lot, because then, you know, it's a bit like when I used to have jazz residencies, and when you have a jazz residency, as I used to do in the old days, and play every week, and you might have the same audience, and that's where you have the same audience every week. So you're improvising away on a horn or a piano away on saxophones and stuff. You're playing all night, 2-3 hours. You've got to make sure your solos are different all the time, haven't you? Because they're hearing it. You know, it's a bit like the rock band that goes around the country, or they play dates, even blues bands, and they're going from date to date. They're playing the stuff they played the night before. I've actually toured with bands where, you know, the guitar player at the front, you know, after the second or third gig, I'm sat there in a horn section thinking, oh, this guy's doing what he did 2 nights ago. You know, he's not really playing blues. He's giving the impression he's playing blues. Okay, so there's a lot of good local players out there who are great, and there are some so-called great players out there perhaps ain't so great. The trick is, go and listen to them on half a dozen times. Listen to them playing, even when they're coaching on the net here. Listen to do look at their body of work, as I said on my last video. Look at the body of work they do, what they put out. Okay, not a bit of this, not a bit. Look at the body of work. Are they able to tell you a story? Doesn't matter how simplistic. Okay, sometimes a story is, hey look, I can play patterns. Hey look, I can play fast dramatically. You know, it isn't really, that's the story they're telling, but perhaps it's not a very interesting story. And people can be hoodwinked. I guess it's the age of it, isn't it? We're living in the age, 2022, the age of the lie, as I call it. It's the age of the lie. In politics, in Hollywood, everywhere, it's the age of the lie. Fortunately, with social media these days, people are finally starting to see through it. Okay, hope that helps some people. Grab yourself a blues harp, take it up. It's a great little instrument. And all you have to do is start by playing just small little phrases of truth, yeah? Just really, really simple stuff. And then just see if you can branch out from that. You can get me for lessons, where I coach this quite extensively and get you off running on Harpo the Healer Wicks. And as always, I catch you on the rebound.